They told him he didn't belong. They stared at his skin like it was a costume, touched him like he was an object, questioned whether he was even human. He arrived in Japan in 1579 as property, a slave brought by Italian Jesuit missionaries. His name was Yasuke, and within 3 years, he would become samurai under the most powerful warlord in Japanese history, Oda Nobunaga. This isn't a fairy tale about acceptance. This is a war story about a man who refused to let other people's limitations define his ceiling. Here's the question you need to answer honestly. Are you waiting for permission to pursue what you want? Are you sitting there, hoping someone will finally decide you're worthy, you're ready, you're good enough? Yasuke didn't ask for permission to be great. He didn't apologize for being different or try to make himself smaller so others felt comfortable. When Nobunaga, the demon king who unified Japan through ruthless brilliance, saw Yasuke, he didn't see a slave. He saw a warrior. And Yasuke proved him right by becoming so undeniably excellent that even in a culture obsessed with bloodline and tradition, they couldn't deny him the title of samurai. Think about what that means. You're in 16th century Japan, the most rigidly hierarchical society on Earth. You're the only person who looks like you in the entire country. You don't speak the language fluently. You own nothing. You are nothing according to every social rule that exists, and you rise to become a samurai warrior, serving the man conquering Japan. Not through luck, not through sympathy, through being so skilled, so disciplined, so undeniable that prejudice becomes too expensive to maintain. This is the lesson you need, branded into your soul. Your circumstances are not your ceiling. Other people's prejudices are not your limitations. The system's rules are not your chains, unless you accept them as truth. Yasuke walked into a world designed to exclude him and forced it to acknowledge him through excellence so absolute that exclusion meant accepting inferior results. When Nobunaga was betrayed and surrounded at Honnoji Temple in 1582, Yasuke fought beside him until the end. After Nobunaga's death, Yasuke was captured. His captors faced a choice: execute him as they would any samurai, or spare him because maybe, deep down, they still didn't see him as fully human. They chose the latter. He was stripped of his swords and released. Some see this as mercy. I see it as the final insult. Even in defeat, they couldn't grant him the honor of a warrior's death because their prejudice was stronger than reality. But here's what matters. For those years he carried those swords. For that time, he fought as samurai. He was undeniable. He proved that excellence transcends origin, that competence has no color, that skill speaks louder than bloodline. He didn't change Japan. Japan remained rigidly hierarchical for centuries after. But he changed what was possible. He became proof that the only real barriers are the ones we accept. You're facing your own version of this right now. Maybe it's not about race. Maybe it's class, education, geography, gender, age, connections you lack. You're entering spaces designed to exclude you, competing against people who started with advantages you'll never have, navigating systems built by and for others. And you have a choice. Accept that you don't belong and prove them right, or become so excellent that they can't afford to exclude you. Yasuke didn't have mentors writing about inclusion or diversity initiatives. He had his skill, his discipline, and his refusal to accept other people's verdict on his potential. That was enough. Not because the world was fair. It wasn't. Not because hard work always wins. It doesn't. But because at a certain level of undeniable excellence, exclusion becomes self-sabotage for those doing the excluding. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting to be invited. Stop explaining why you deserve a seat at tables you don't need permission to approach. Build skills they can't ignore. Develop competence they can't dismiss. Become so good that keeping you out costs them more than letting you in. That's not inspiration. That's strategy. That's not motivation. That's warfare. Yasuke became samurai in a country that didn't think people like him could be human. What's your excuse?